Jamie,
Chris.
this year just has not turned out the way I expected it to.
Yes. Get in line.
I know. I was really hoping to see you like a month ago. Like we had this whole trip planned, like the whole thing was
Minnesota
about, like,
in November. Who plans a trip to Minnesota in November?
you do it when you want to see your friend.
That's who does it.
I know. It's frustrating. We did like all the things we were supposed to do, and then pandemic.
We've been planning it. I mean, like we kind of gamed the system. Hello. We gamed the system, right? Like we worked some magic and said some prayers to get in the same group, which is pretty unusual. And we got in the same group for the same week, and looking forward to time together and maybe sneaking off to see some other friends in there. And
yeah, it's just when you play by like all the rules, like when you've been the one that's been doing the social distancing, you've been wearing the mask, you haven't been doing big gatherings, you've canceled church and other things like that. It just didn't go the way we expected.
I refrained from licking doorknobs. I refrained from just breathing on people. My usual activities, Chris, I refrained from so that I could be as healthy as possible. And, air travel. When I fly, in the situations that I have to fly, I put my mask on when I leave my car, and I don't take it off to drink, to eat. I change my clothes when I make it to, like, I packed in a separate Ziploc bag clothes in my house and rolled it up and made it airtight and put it in my carry-on. So that way, when I got to the airport in my arrival city, I changed my clothes. So that way I don't even take germs from the airport into where I'm going. And I don't know about you, but I had to save some money and like set aside my study leave money so that we could spend that time together. And I don't know about you, but that conference, that Sabbath, that time where pastors set aside to learn about rest and how to take care of myself, didn't really work for me, mostly because I was so disappointed that I couldn't have my buddy with me as I talked about how overworked we are. I was,
and I feel like the double kicker is like this year, like we've already been adjusting to so much. Like it wasn't even plan B. This was like plan C or D that we had to cancel. Yeah. And I'm just. Yeah.
Do you do that thing where you get out of your car and walk towards the store and then realize about 2 feet before the door that you forgot your mask and you have to go back to your car? Like, think about how like our everyday stuff has changed. I have 5 masks near me at all times. Never had to do that before. I have them in different colors and patterns. I have to remember not to wear the one with the dog with the Santa hat. I can't wear that to church, but polka dots are okay. Like, who does that? This is a weird world.
I have one congregant in particular. There's a YouTube series that he thinks my mask looks like. It's a turquoise trapezoid. I need to look up the YouTube channel, but it actually makes me smile every time I put on it because I think of like, I've almost put googly eyes on it just to make him think of the animation character.
Googly eyes below your real eyes.
That caught me off guard actually, because that's the other part is like when anxiety catches you off guard. Because I walked into a gas station because I needed to pay for something inside. And the attendant didn't have a mask, and I didn't expect like my anxiety to just like hit the roof all of a sudden. And I turned around and walked back out, and it hit unexpectedly. Like that's not something I'm used to, is like that anxiety response to like seeing someone who you can tell has been in a building for a long time without a mask.
Yeah. Today, I did an interview with a potential employee and I couldn't stick out my hand to shake her hand. And like, I literally had to shove my hands in my pockets so that I wouldn't try and, how you doing? And when I watch TV shows or movies and they like, oh, hi, how are you? And they hug, I'm like, oh, they're not wearing masks. They're shaking hands. Or I'm like, yes, like even watching TV produces anxiety.
Yeah. Or so like movies and TV shows that are being like new ones that are being released now and they're like out in public and it's like, oh, that's so unrealistic. Look at them being social.
Right. 6 feet distance, Tom.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. No, this year it's not what I expected.
Absolutely not. And how are you supposed to prepare for it? And I don't know about you, but as a leader in the church, I feel like somehow I failed. Being never trained, no one else knowing what they're doing. And yet I have internalized that and think, well, I could have done this better and this better. In Colorado, we're about to go back into lockdown. So we were in lockdown early in the spring. We came out the summer. And now our numbers are really unmanageable and we're going to have to go back into lockdown. And I think, okay, what did I learn the first time so that I can do it better? Who thinks that? I've just internalized this angst and this disappointment to the point where I'm like, it must be me. Because I don't produce videos for my church. My cat doesn't go crawling by for hours. So
there's so much imposter syndrome right now because even though I am one of those that is producing Facebook videos, I look at other churches and like seeing pastors come up with events and it's like, oh, I wish I could have thought to do that. Like that's a great idea. I should have been doing that. Or they have this event. One that I saw was a Blue Christmas, a morning service specifically for 2020. And it's like, oh, shoot, I feel like I should have done that. But we, like, as a community, Northminster is doing a lot. It's just different than a lot of other communities, but it's still hard to not see everything that every other church is doing and not have that like knee-jerk, like, oh, I'm failing. I'm not doing everything that everyone else is.
Yeah. Good for you. I've stopped looking at what other churches are doing because I don't want to walk around with any more guilt and frustration that I'm not doing it right. I think in this time, the best message that I can give myself and give you and other people is there's no right way to do this. If you are if you are finding ways to love yourself and love your neighbor and love God above all, then have we not fulfilled the golden rules? But I have to give myself that pep talk 20 times a day. Right.
My mantra for this week is remembering that it doesn't say be perfect and know that I am God. It's be still and know that I am God.
That's a good word, Pastor Chris.
I'm trying. But like I said, how many times do I have to say it to myself?
Right. I decided mid-February even that my motto for this year, and it was really cheeky in February, but now I'm like, this is my motto. And I've taught it to everybody. My session says it back to me. This is my motto for 2020. You do you, boo.
Right.
No, Westminster has to do what Westminster does. Westminster.
North.
Let's try that again. Northminster has to do what Northminster has to do, and it's going to look different than Yuma Presbyterian Church, which is going to look different than Yuma Baptist Church, right? They're just down the street, and their situation is different than our situation. And so you do you, boo.
And on like such a more personal level, that coaching people that it's like, you do this if you're comfortable with it. Like, you do you, boo. If you are not comfortable, like, doing X, Y, or Z, then you do you. Like, there is no pressure to show up anywhere, to log on to any meeting. Like, having people apologize for not coming to a Zoom Bible study. And I'm like, hey, like, yo, like, I mean,
you do you, boo.
Boo. That it's like, I'm not expecting you to be on every single time. These are things to do if it helps, if you have the time, if you have the energy. But we shouldn't assume this is a great year to learn that, like, no one can do everything. And we're not superhuman. We're very much learning that we are not superhuman. But this is like, I wish this was the death of FOMO, the fear of missing out.
What's the meme that's been going around? It's okay not to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay not to be okay.
I would really like to normalize that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was an exciting conversation, Chris. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's always good to catch up with you, Jamie.
You as well, Pastor Chris.